Some stonemasons spent 3 years cutting a single foundation, squaring every block to outlast their own grandchildren. 11 of those foundations, deep in these mountains, never held a house past its first winter. The walls are still square, the corners still true. Nobody finished what they started, and no builder walks away from that kind of work without a reason. Comment your state right now, because odds are, one of these 11 sits closer to you than you think. Let's start with the one built from stone that shouldn't have been there at all. Number 1, Nicholson Hollow, Virginia. Ridge above Nicholson Hollow, Virginia, 1934. A stonemason named Aaron Nicholson spent 2 winters building his family's foundation, choosing granite blocks heavy enough that 2 men couldn't lift one alone. Government surveyors arrived that spring with a different kind of paperwork. Shenandoah National Park needed the land, and by federal order, over 500 families like the Nicholsons had months to leave everything they'd built. Picture standing where that cabin once stood. Chestnut oaks lean over a foundation still perfectly level after 90 years. Corners cut so tight you can't slide a coin between the stones. Whoever built this intended it to hold a family for a century. It held one for less than a decade. What the official record calls wilderness restoration doesn't match what the stone itself remembers. Park Service files from the 1930s describe the removed land as sparsely settled, barely worth preserving. Census records from the same decade tell a sharper story. Functioning farms, established root cellars, foundations built with techniques passed down 3 generations deep. Nobody builds infrastructure meant to outlive a century if they expect to leave within 5 years. Here's the detail that should stop you. Several of these foundations, cataloged by University of Virginia archaeologists in the 1980s, use quarried stone that doesn't match any outcrop within walking distance of the site. Someone hauled material from somewhere else, at real cost, real effort, for houses the government would soon condemn anyway. No family record explains why, and no county ledger tracks where that stone came from either. Now spread that pattern across 500 families, and something starts to feel less like coincidence. These weren't people building temporary shelter. They were building the way generations build when they believe the ground under them is permanent. And the ground, as it turned out, belonged to somebody else's plan the entire time. That contradiction between what the stone says and what the government claimed is only the beginning. 2 ridgelines over, a settlement called Hensley left behind foundations with a stranger detail carved right into the hearths themselves. Number 2 Hensley Settlement, Kentucky-Virginia line. Cold stone against bare palm. That's how a University of Virginia researcher described her first contact with the hearth at Hensley Settlement in 1987. Not the cold you'd expect from Cumberland Gap granite in October. Colder. She checked her thermometer twice before writing the reading down. Hensley sat on Brush Mountain, straddling the Kentucky-Virginia line, home to roughly 12 families by the early 1900s. Farmers there built with a technique local historians call widow's masonry. Hearths angled slightly off true north, a deliberate choice that shows up nowhere else in the region's building records. Nobody has ever explained why. The angle isn't a mistake, it's too consistent across too many houses to be accidental. By 1951, every family had left. Official park literature attributes the exodus to isolation and dwindling farmland, a simple story that fits the government's timeline neatly. Walk the site today, though, and the numbers stop cooperating. Corn yield records from the 1940s show productive harvests right up until the final season. Isolation doesn't explain families abandoning working farms within a single winter. Quick question for you. If you've caught even one detail here that doesn't sit right, drop a comment and hit subscribe, because we're only 2 foundations into 11, and the strangest ones are still ahead. Number 3 Elkmont, Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. 90 miles north, Elkmont's cottages tell a colder version of the same contradiction. Wealthy Tennessee families built these summer homes in the early 1900s along the Little River, structures meant for generations of returning guests. When the National Park Service absorbed the land in the 1930s, families kept lifetime leases, decades of quiet agreement that faded the moment the last leaseholder died. What nobody explains is why several foundations show reinforcement work dated after the leases expired. Concrete poured, footings deepened, for buildings the Park Service had already scheduled for removal. That reinforcement makes no sense on paper. Footings deepened for a building already condemned. Either the paperwork was wrong, or whoever poured that concrete knew something the paperwork never accounted for. 3 settlements down, all hiding the same quiet defiance in their stonework. Construction continuing long after everyone involved should have stopped building. That defiance turns into something else entirely once you reach the 4th foundation on this list. Number 4, McDow County, West Virginia, peak value. Granite doesn't travel by accident. That's the first thing geologist Bill Ferris will tell you about the foundation stones scattered across a nameless hollow in McDowell County, West Virginia, stones that don't belong there at all. The settlement itself barely made it into county records. A handful of families who arrived sometime around 1910 and vanished from tax rolls by 1919. What survived them is a single foundation, half finished, its walls rising only 3 feet before stopping entirely. No roof was ever framed. No door was ever hung. Whoever started this house never got the chance to live in it. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. In 2003, a geological survey team examined the foundation's stone composition and found something that shouldn't exist. The granite doesn't match any outcrop within 15 miles of the site. It matches a quarry formation across the state line in Virginia, over 40 miles east, across 2 mountain ranges and a river gorge that would have made hauling that stone by wagon a punishing, weeks-long undertaking. Sit with that for a second. Dozens of closer stone sources sat within a single day's travel. Someone chose the harder path anyway, chose 40 miles of mountain terrain over 15 miles of flat ground, and never explained the choice to anyone who left a record behind. Merchant ledgers from the era track no delivery that size. County permits, wagon toll receipts. None of it survives to explain how that granite made its 40-mile journey, or who paid for it. Ferris himself, when interviewed for a 2019 documentary short, called the transport logistics borderline irrational for a family with no documented wealth and no obvious reason to import material they could have quarried from their own backyard. Teams of horses strained against loaded wagons that day. Men guided stone through terrain that barely accommodated a footpath. Weeks of effort spent before a single wall could rise. That's not carelessness. That's a decision made deliberately by people who had every easier option available and refused every single one of them. The house was never finished. The stone made it. Nobody left behind so much as a name explaining why the second mattered more than the first. And whatever answer exists, it isn't sitting in any filing cabinet, because nobody ever filed it there to begin with. Number 5, Logan County, West Virginia. Skids under a house sound strange until you understand company logic. Coal operators across southern West Virginia built entire towns this way in the early 1900s. Cheap lumber frames resting on wooden runners, designed so an entire street of homes could be dragged to a new site the moment a seam ran dry. Permanence wasn't just discouraged. It was actively engineered against. That's what makes a cluster of foundations near a played-out mine in Logan County so hard to explain. Company blueprints from 1911, preserved in a regional archive, specify skid-mounted construction for every structure in the settlement. No exceptions listed anywhere in the file. For foundations on site, don't match those blueprints at all. They're stone, mortared, sunk 2 feet into bedrock. Construction that would have taken weeks longer and cost far more than anything the company authorized. Somebody built to stay in a town explicitly designed to leave. Company payroll records from the same period show no trace of it. No additional wages for stonework. No requisition for the extra material. No accounting for the time or cost involved. Whoever laid those foundations either paid for the difference themselves or found stone and labor the company never knew about. Either way, it was a quiet, expensive act of refusal, carried out by people with almost no power to refuse anything else in their lives. Walk that hollow today, and the 4 foundations still sit apart from the rest, stone among rotted skid marks. Exactly the kind of detail an aerial survey would miss, and a person standing on the ground never could. Local oral history, collected decades later by a folklore project out of Marshall University, offers one fragment worth sitting with. A miner's granddaughter recalled her grandfather saying his father built with stone because he didn't intend the company to move him twice. He never explained what twice referred to. The story ends there, unresolved, the way most of these stories do. 5 foundations down, 6 still waiting, and the next one belongs to a chimney with no house left standing around it at all. Number 6, Cataluchi Valley, North Carolina. A single chimney rises from a clearing in Cataluchi Valley. No walls, no roof line. Nothing around it but grass and the outline of a foundation barely visible under the soil. Families farmed this valley for generations before the Great Smoky Mountains National Park absorbed the land in 1931. What makes this chimney different is the stone itself. Fire-cracked granite, blackened deep into the grain, evidence of heat far beyond what any ordinary hearth fire produces. A 1994 structural survey noted the anomaly and recommended further testing. That testing never happened. The file sits exactly where the surveyor left it. 1 recommendation, 0 follow-up. In a park system that documents almost everything else about this valley in exhaustive detail. 6 foundations counted. 5 remain, and the next one holds water that shouldn't be there at all. Number 7, Cades Cove, Tennessee. Cades Cove draws more visitors than almost any other spot in the Smokies. Yet one foundation near the valley's eastern edge sits fenced off from the main loop road entirely. What sets it apart isn't the stonework above ground. It's what's built into it below, a spring-fed well, cut directly through the foundation's north wall, an engineering choice no other structure in the cove shares. Wells were dug beside houses here, never through them. A 1962 park survey flagged the design as unusual for the period and offered nothing further. Later hydrology reports confirmed the spring still flows, cold and constant, through a foundation that's held no house above it in over 90 years. 7 down. For foundations left, and the next one carries tool marks that don't match anything else in the region. Number 8, Lookout Mountain, Georgia. High on Lookout Mountain, a foundation predates most of its neighbors by at least 2 generations. Its stones cut with tool marks archaeologists describe as inconsistent with typical 1800s Appalachian masonry. A 2011 university field team compared the chisel patterns against regional samples and found no clean match anywhere in the state's documented building history. Whoever built it either trained somewhere far from these mountains or worked with tools nobody else in the area used. The report ends there. No follow-up study was ever funded, and the foundation still sits exactly as it was found, chisel marks cataloged but never explained. 8 foundations counted, 3 remaining, and the 9th carries 2 build phases stacked directly on top of each other. Number 9, Somerset County, Pennsylvania. A foundation in rural Somerset County shows something a casual hiker would walk straight past. Two distinct layers of stonework, an older wall buried beneath a newer one, both clearly built with intention rather than repair. Geologists dated the lower layer to roughly a decade before the upper one, meaning someone built directly on top of an existing structure instead of simply adding onto it. County records list only a single owner for the entire property across both periods. No sale, no transfer, no explanation for why anyone would bury their own earlier work rather than build beside it. The layered stone stayed exactly where it was left, one foundation stacked on a foundation, both abandoned by the same hands. 9 down, 2 to go, and the 10th is the only foundation on this list with no known builder at all. Number 10, Unicoi County, Tennessee. No deed, no census record, no family name ties anyone to the foundation tucked into a hollow outside Irwin. A 1988 Historical Society survey lists it simply as pre-settlement, origin unknown, the only entry of its kind in the entire county archive. The stonework itself uses a fitting technique, stones locked together without mortar, weight-bearing purely on angle and pressure, that predates the masonry styles every other settler foundation on this list shares. Whoever built it either arrived earlier than the historical record acknowledges or used knowledge nobody else brought into these mountains. The Society's own survey admits as much, then moves on to the next site without further comment. 10 foundations counted. One is left, and it's the reason this whole list exists in the first place. Number 11, Nameless Ridge, West Virginia. Back to McDowell County. One ridge over from the imported granite in foundation number 4, sits the last entry on this list and the strangest. It's Hearth Stone, examined by 3 separate geology teams since 1979, has never been matched to any known quarry, outcrop, or formation anywhere in the Appalachian Range. Not close, not similar, unidentified. Mineral composition places it somewhere in the region, broadly, but no specific source has ever been confirmed. One 2015 report suggested the stone might not be local at all, then stopped short of saying where it could have come from instead. That sentence is the last word anyone official has written about it. 11 foundations. 10 explained by history, contradiction, or quiet defiance. One that still has no explanation on file, sitting exactly where somebody placed it, waiting for a question nobody's finished asking. 11 foundations, one shared truth. Some of these families weren't victims of circumstance. They built with stone meant to outlast every order telling them to leave. That 11th hearthstone still has no traced origin anywhere in the record. Comment which one you'd send a survey team to first.